All right. So we are going live. All right. Just doing some checks, guys, before we really get started. Okay. All right. So, for today, had a lot of requests for the last two forms I submitted. Um, um, a lot of requests for anime stuff, and somebody specifically requested doing a Dragon Ball, and I thought that's a good one because that can help us learn how to do more complex shapes. So I'm going to actually show you guys how to make a sphere because making a sphere is actually a fairly difficult thing to do in SketchUp. So um, we're just going to go ahead and get right at it. Now, um, to start with a sphere, so a sphere otherwise known as like just a ball, right? So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and select this circle. Now with the circle, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the origin. Now, the origin, if you remember in math, that's the 0, 0 coordinate. But remember, we've got 3, so it's a 0, 0, 0 coordinate. But reason why we want to do that there is because that's if we keep the center of our sphere at the center, then it's going to make it easier to work with later. So um, when everyone wanted to do a Dragon Ball, and if you don't know what a Dragon Ball is, what I'll do is I would just encourage you to Google it. Dragon Ball, probably my favorite anime. A lot of kids have been requesting stuff for that. But I went ahead and looked it up earlier, and a Dragon Ball is exactly 7.5 centimeters. Now, I don't like working with decimals if I don't have to, so I'm just going to go ahead and round it up to 8 centimeters, otherwise known as 80 millimeters. So remember, it goes off of the radius, not the diameter. So we're going to go ahead and enter 40 millimeters. And now we've got a circle. So now to get the circle to a sphere, it's a little bit of a trick. And this is a million times easier than doing, I've seen tons of tutorials on YouTube of trying, because it's a question a lot of students has asked me. And it, it's, um, it's a difficult thing to do. This is the easiest way. So we made our circle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select the center of it and we are going to delete it. So now we've just got a ring. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change the perspective to where we're looking at it from the side. Now we're going to select the circle tool again, and we're going to make another circle with the exact same dimensions, but going the other way. So we're going to go 40. Now we've created basically kind of like a plus sign if you look at it from this side. We've got this circle. Now if we want to make it a sphere, we're going to go ahead and delete this middle part again. And now we're going to use a really, really cool tool. This tool is what's called the Follow Me tool. And what you'll do is click on over here, this little one that says Follow Me. But first, if you select the cursor, and you'll notice that whenever you click on a shape or some type of geometry, it turns blue. And we will want to get the full circle. So what we'll do is we'll click this other circle. So now we've got the whole ring selected. Now we're going to hit the Follow Me tool and then click on the blue shape here. Now, this might take a second to process, so just be patient. As soon as we click on it, boom, we got a sphere. So much easier than doing, um, other methods. Really, really, really quick. Now, now you might notice the sphere, if you look really close, it's kind of really more of a, got like angles. If you want to get a higher resolution sphere, I'll show you how to alter the geometry of shapes. So if you go over here and you click circle, if you look in the bottom right, it's going to say the number of sides. Now, really, instead of making a circle, we're actually making a 24-sided polygon. That's not really a circle. So if we want to make a higher resolution, we could increase that number of sides. So what I'm going to do is actually make it 100. If I make it 100, now it's going to be much more like a circle. So we'll go ahead and set it to a radius of 40. There we go. Look at it from the side. 40. Now, once I set the number of segments down there in the bottom, the number of sides of the shape, it actually will stay that way. But, so we don't have to do it over and over and over again. We're going to go ahead and delete that inner circle though, and we're just going to repeat the process. So select the ring. If you need to select, so see how it kind of only did this one side? If I hit Control and push it, it will go back to being a circle. Hit the Follow Me tool and click it. This one's going to take a long time to process because there's way more polygons here. And just as a quick math lesson, a polygon is any two-dimensional shape that's got straight sides. And these, even though they look like circles, these are actually a 100-sided polygon. So let's go ahead and now you'll notice that, and I noticed this happened earlier when I practiced, it leaves these holes in the top and bottom. I don't know why. It's just something going on with the program. So to fix it, what we're going to do is we're just going to draw a line. We're just going to pick one side, an endpoint, go to the other side, boom, covered it up. And it did it with the other side as well. And this will actually kind of help the print a little bit if it's actually flat at the bottom, because I've printed balls before and they don't like to print because they roll, right? So even if you build with supports, it might want to move around. So not a bad idea to have a flat bottom there. So here we go. Everything's looking good so far. So now, if we're going to make a Dragon Ball, what we're going to do next is we could sit here and try for a really long time to draw stars all over the surface of this thing. And even though that'd be fine, getting them to actually look right would be a really long challenge and it might not be worth it. So we want to try and make it look good a different way, something that might be a little bit easier. Whenever you print something, you can only print in one color. So you can either paint an object or you can print more than one object that's a different color and glue it together. So what we're going to do is we are going to make basically the stars that we will then put on there. So I'll print them all in one file and then we can basically glue them on afterwards. So a Dragon Ball has stars and the best Dragon Ball has 4 stars. So we're going to make a 4-star Dragon Ball here. So what we'll do is first I want to make sure these are on a flat plane. So I'm going to pick the bottom of the sphere and I'm going to draw a line just to use as a reference point. Just so that way when I print the file, because the 3D printer prints from the bottom up, it builds up in layers. So we don't want to make our life any harder than it needs to be. So what we'll do is we will make a pentagon. So a pentagon, to make a star, a pentagon has 5 sides. So we are going to hit, once you click this polygon tool, you can hit the number 5, and now it knows I'm making a 5-sided figure. So what we'll do is from that point, we will go ahead and make a pentagon. Now, I looked at it earlier and it looked like the ideal radius for one was 5 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 5. Now I can go ahead and get rid of this reference point because it kind of looks ugly and we just don't need it. So we'll go ahead and zoom in on what will eventually be our star here. Now, we want to make a star. This is a great reference point because it's perfectly, there's, all the different lines of symmetry here. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and draw a star, and then we'll delete the guidelines. So there we go. There's our star. We'll go ahead, delete these lines. All right, cool. Star, real quick. So what we can do here is draw a star like the old school way. And you might notice that there's some issues here. Number one, the geometry didn't connect. And if I were to draw a star, even if it was perfectly flat, without having any measurements, it could be, all kinds of goofy. And we don't want that. We want a perfectly symmetrical star. So here we go. We've got our star. Now, the 4-star Dragon Ball has 4 of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 copies of it. But before we even do that, we can't print something that's completely flat. So we need to give it a little bit of depth. Now, if we go off the printer prints in layers that are 0.15 millimeters thick. So a little over 1/10 of a millimeter. So what we'll do is we'll multiply that by 3 to give us 3 layers. So that's going to give us 0.45 millimeters. So we'll grab that depth tool. If you don't remember the depth tool, it's over here. And we'll move it up, but we want it to be exact, so we'll say 0.45. There we go. So now when this comes off, it will be very small, but it should still be very flexible. So what we'll do is we'll actually glue it to the object. It's to the actual ball, but we need to make 4 copies. So we'll hit Control C, Control V. Now I know that one looks bigger. It's not actually bigger. It's just the perspective. In case you didn't believe me, look here. So what we'll do is draw some more reference points. So using 1, 2, 3. All right. Go ahead and align this up if it will let me. There we go. Control V. There we go. The program's figuring out what I want. Okay. So now what we'll do is delete these lines. Actually, before we do any of that, we are going to scoot this much closer. So that way when we put it on the printer, it's not going too wild here. If we could maybe tone it down a little bit in the chat, please. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we'll move it on that green axis so we know we don't go up or down. There we go. So there we go. We've got our things. Now what we'll do is we'll delete all these guidelines because they won't show up on the print anyway, so they have no business being there. So what we'll do is print this just as is. We'll glue it together. So I'm going to go ahead and save. I'll export that later. That was a really quick one. So I'm going to take this time then to show you guys some things some other students have made. And just so you guys are aware, and I'll actually show you some of the things we've made on this channel just in the last 2 live streams we've done. So on the last live stream, we made a corgi. So we took a picture from the internet, and we showed how to trace around to do like a logo. And you could do the same on your own. Here you go right here. Let me see. I can't see from my own camera here. So come on, the light. It's white. I haven't painted it yet, but it's a corgi. If you want to see kind of what it looks like, you can look at the second video post. And then the time before that, I have these silicone cooking mats, and I made an organizer for them. So there it is. Holds all my cooking mats. Makes it nice and easy to store. But there's some other things that you can make as well, and I'll show you those here in a minute. But first, I really want to show off some things some other students have made in the past. Now, a lot of these are ones from students from last year, but some are from this year. I'll go ahead and move them on one over at a time. First one I want to show off. Now, a student named John Dennis made this. That is, if you couldn't tell, that is a model of Super Mario. Now, the colors don't matter because they won't show up in the printer, but they are nonetheless there. He made that, and it was very, very impressive, actually. Let's see some more here. Here we go. Here's also another one from John, who he was doing a lot of video game stuff, which is really what a lot of folks do. It's okay, you guys like video games. Not a crime to like things. Um, but this was really cool. Is the one up mushroom. Let's look at some more. A sixth grader this year made this actually. This was Larry, if I'm not mistaken, made this, and it's from Dragon Ball Z as well. And he did a really awesome job on this. This was really cool. Here's a seventh grader from last year. Katie, which is Joe Hall's sister, made this barn complete with a fence, and this turned out really cool. We actually had a 3D printing competition last year, and this one ended up being the winner. There was also like a second part where it was like a plane of grass, and she put them together, and she ended up now it printed in a white filament, and she actually did all the painting, and it was really really cool afterwards. Um, uh, Eighth grader Landon Ingram made, I think this is actually supposed to be Gogeta. So once again, kind of from an anime. Still really cool. Now I'm going to show you some of the things I've been making. Now you guys know that the COVID-19 stuff has been going on, and what a lot of folks are doing is there's been a lot of shortage of protective equipment, and what some like 3D printing enthusiasts have begun to do is make files for protective equipment. Namely, we've got right here, we've got like a mask cover. So like this would like fit over your face. And there's a little filter piece that goes over the front here. And you put basically a like disposable filter there in the middle, so that would be better than nothing compared to the ones that are commercially available. And it's you could basically just get an elastic strap, and it's got the buckle pieces that go in together. Another cool thing I've been working on is I made this helmet. So if you guys have watched the show The Mandalorian, um, from Star Wars. Uh, it's pretty cool. Now, what I'll do here is this does actually go on, so let me go ahead and put that on real quick. So there we go. I'm going to take this off because it's super uncomfortable. um, Now, some other things that even I've been working on. Um, I want to make a full suit of armor, so I've got the shoulder pads that are next. You'll notice they're Wildcat themed, which I think is going to be really cool before when it's finally printed and painted. And I'll make another one so we can actually have a full set of. This one's Menifee themed, obviously. And I'm going to show you guys one more quick thing. So, this look familiar to you guys? Well, maybe not familiar yet because it hasn't been built yet. They're currently building it right now. This is your guys' new school. And the architect was kind enough to share the STL file, and I was then able to render it in SketchUp. And I just gotta say, y'all, if you weren't if you weren't excited about your school, you should be now. Um, yeah, that's so cool. I don't know what room's gonna be mine. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping I'm on the second story. I don't know. But here's your guys' gym. Now we can go inside it, but the problem is the inside doesn't have like all the details and stuff. So there are like things like the windows and that sort of thing, but there isn't anything with that. But this is all software that you guys can use. A lot of students have actually made their own uh, houses and stuff. So even if you're not interested in building things for 3D printing, there's still lots of cool stuff that you can make. That's um, like like this sort of thing. This is actually a common program that architects use, but we can even see all the little details on the outside. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Like I said, I think this is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, this right here, this backside would be your guys's new lunchroom. But all really, really cool stuff. But it's coming, guys. Now, that's more or less pretty much what I've got for today. I've got some other stuff in the works. I'm gonna go ahead and repost the poll for what you guys want to see get made next. But a lot of people were asking for things from an anime, so I made something that was somewhat simple that I could do in a pretty short video. Um, if you guys want to learn some more things, I've got other videos. Jordan, if you're confused, these are just videos on how to use a program called SketchUp. It's not, you know, uh, it's there's nothing else here. This is just what we've been doing the last couple times. If you want to go back and watch the other videos, you're more than welcome to. Um, let's look here. I'm gonna go through. If you guys have questions, now's the time to go ahead and answer them. And guys, if we're gonna continue to have um, this kind of absurdity in the comments, I'm just gonna disable the comments on the next video. Let's see what kind of questions you guys have. Remember, you guys are on about you guys are about on a 30-second delay or so, so you're actually looking into the past. Going through reading. Hey Sean, it's pretty cool that you joined this one. Let's see, Alyssa's in here too. Very cool. Briley and Jordan. I know. So Briley, it was you who asked for Bob the Turtle 3 times. Either that, or you consorted with your peers to try and vote for more Bob the Turtles. Hey guys. Well, if there's no other questions on here, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. If you guys come up with some questions, go ahead and just enter them into Google Classroom. But otherwise, you guys have a great day, and like and subscribe and all that stuff. So that way, you know, who knows, more subscribers. Anyway, you guys have a good one.